Howdy, welcome to the WeView review.
Or WeView for short.
Or that. And we're here to talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the Planet of the Apes trilogy as a whole, starting back at the original Andy Serkis film. For starters, I'm Nathaniel. I do some commercial and freelance film work. And
I'm Emily, and I work at a church.
I'm Katie, and I'm a teacher who loves movies.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so we all prepped with all of our friends and watched the Andy Serkis trilogy of Planet of the Apes in preparation for this new one that came out.
I had never seen any Planet of the Apes content at all before like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever we watched. I watched the second one, and then the first one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. But y'all have experience with Planet of the Apes?
Yep. Yeah. Have you seen all of them, Katie?
I've seen the original one, like from 1968, 1969?
Something like that.
And then I've seen the one
68.
after 68, and then I've seen the one after that, which I don't remember the name of.
Okay.
I can list them all out.
Yeah, and then I watched the 2001 one with Mark Wahlberg, and then the Andy Serkis trilogy with and then Matt Reeves, all that, and then the newest one.
Cool.
Nice. So Planet of the Apes was the original movie that came out in 1968, and then it was Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which came out in 1970, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and then Planet of the Apes, 2001 with Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
And now review of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, by WeView podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I wonder, that's just a bold decision to be like, Planet of the Apes has to live in it
In
forever.
the title.
Which I guess like Star Wars movies and stuff, it's supposed to be like Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, Star Wars, and like Harry Potter, The Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But there's nothing beneath
Planet of the
this.
Apes is a long title
Yeah.
Planet.
already.
Rise, Dawn, War, Kingdom. Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can start with which one of the three. So today we're going to be talking about the Andy Serkis trilogy plus the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which just came out. Which one out of those four is your favorite? And then we'll kind of hit each movie, and then we'll talk mostly about the 2024 one because I remember that one the most. So, so favorite.
It's kind of controversial, but I would say I might like the third one.
War is your
Okay,
favorite?
War. Okay, War of the Planet of the Apes, despite the name, is like the least action, I feel like, or
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
know.
War is an amazing movie, and the ending is really clear spoilers here for anybody who's watching.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. Yeah.
But War is an amazing movie. But the first time I saw War, I was a little disappointed because it's not like this. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes has like this big something's rising, something's boiling above the surface, and it's like an all-out war.
Mm-hmm.
And then what Matt Reeves does in the third one is beautiful, but it's not a war movie in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so War of the Planet of the Apes, or War for the Planet of the Apes. Do you have a favorite?
My favorite one is probably Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So the second
Okay.
of the
Rise, Dawn,
Yeah.
War. Okay.
Once Matt Reeves comes on the scene, it changes the game.
The guy who did the first one, I wrote it down, who directed the first one, Rupert Wyatt. And I don't know what else he's directed.
We can look it up.
I mean, I like War, I think, partly because even though I can enjoy movies that don't have humor, it has enough humor in okay's points to where I like
Just
it.
in Bad Ape. Bad Ape is
Yeah.
iconic.
Yeah.
But I like the third one, and then I like the first one.
The second one is your least favorite out of the trilogy?
I don't know, I like them all. I just know that I don't like the second one the most.
Okay,
See,
okay.
in my head, the second is the
Is the best,
clear.
Yeah.
Clear. I think even just outside of the trilogy, the second one is just one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Ever?
Ever, yeah. The way Matt Reeves takes the story, the way that there's what the humans are battling with, the villain with Koba, the way Caesar has to think about like his choices. It's everything you want in like a major blockbuster. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing.
It does look. I feel like it looks the best out of those three because I think it was you who said the third one is just very sunny, or no, the fourth one is like very sunny, so it's less of like there's less like texture. I don't know, like the snow and like the darkness of the second one. Just I remember.
But we also watched the third one not on Blu-ray, and we watched the second one on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I think all of like the CGI like we're watching holds up in all of them. Like
the first one's actually pretty good.
The first one you can kind of tell, but for the most part, it's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
I would say the second one is my favorite. Yeah, the third, I watched the second one first, so everything after that was just kind of underwhelming. I was like, yeah.
I think most of the reason why I like the first one is because I like origin stories.
Yeah.
So like, what's a good example? Like I like the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man better than the second one, even though most people like the second
wrong
one
opinion.
better. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I like the origin stories.
Everyone here.
Like out of all the Wolverine-centered X-Men movies, I like Wolverine Origins the most because I like
Have you
origin
seen
stories.
Logan?
Yeah, and I still liked Origins better.
Okay.
which will get me canceled.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds would flip.
We all have a lot of different movie opinions at the table.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think these movies are good by themselves? Like, I think the second one's the best one, but it does need, I was confused without the first one.
Outside of the franchise or outside of the trilogy?
Outside of the trilogy. If we get suspension of disbelief, like we believe apes live in the world, do these movies exist okay, like individually?
Dawn exists in my head. Okay, you need a little bit of the backstory, but Dawn is just a movie I will turn on and watch.
Okay.
But I don't think I would casually just turn on like War of the Planet of the Apes or.
Okay.
But especially even going back to like the 1968 one, that movie exists by itself just fine. Even if they were never to make another one of those, like that movie would be classic.
Okay.
Yeah, and Rise definitely stays pretty good in the vacuum, but it's also the beginning of the trilogy. So
it ends with him going out, right? They they swing away in the trees.
James Franco's like, go to San Francisco, go to the Redwoods,
have fun.
Have fun.
Okay. So we can kind of look at each one, not that we haven't already done that a little bit, but look at each one a little bit more specifically. So Rise of the Planet of the Apes comes out 2011.
After the failure of the Mark Wahlberg one.
2001. It receives an 82% critically on Rotten Tomatoes, directed by Rupert Wyatt, and the music is by Patrick Doyle, which we just make reference of that because the music is just good for these movies. But this is the introduction of Caesar. Do you think this was a strong start to the trilogy? Do you care about Caesar in this one?
Yeah, I think it was a strong start. I think, like looking back on it, there's some parts of that movie that don't hold up as well. Like
it's very 2011.
Yeah,
I'm like, this movie is old.
Like you don't care as much. Like rewatching it, I don't really care as much about like I don't even remember James Franco's name, like his character name in the first movie. Does anybody at the table remember that?
No.
Like
the guy with the yellow hat.
Yeah,
was his name.
like he's always gonna be. And then they always forget there's like a love story in that one.
Oh yeah, the love story in the first one is so unnecessary.
Yeah, and then it doesn't but the connection between James Franco, his dad, and Caesar is the core of that movie, and I think will always stand out. And even in the later movies, Caesar will always think back to like the connection between him and James Franco. So I think it was a good setup there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, I'm kind of biased because I like Andy Serkis so much.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, you may or may not, Andy Serkis is the motion performance capture actor behind Gollum in Lord of the Rings and 2008's King Kong, and is also responsible for playing Caesar. And he's usually in stuff that you don't recognize him in, which
You're Andy Serkis's biggest fan.
Yeah.
This is okay. So
I'm not. But I'm not
you're
there.
like fangirling over
Also,
him.
the fact that Andy Serkis doesn't have an Oscar
That's
is
baffling.
tragic. Also, the fact that I will side tangent that none of these won Best Visual Effects at the Oscars is wild to me.
But they lost to like I watched a video on this, but they lost to like legitimate.
Yeah, like one of them they lost like Interstellar, and then, but I don't know. I think
It is a great. When I think of
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes, I think of like motion capture, like visual effects.
Mhm.
So that is shocking.
If Andy Serkis wins an Oscar, though, it should have a motion capture suit on the Oscar.
You've clearly dreamed of this moment for Andy.
Someday he will just play everything in a whole movie.
Oh, it's like I think they already have that with Polar Express. I think
Yeah,
Tom
so
Hanks
if-
has already
Tom
done
Hanks
that.
already done that.
So if Andy Serkis does a sequel to Polar Express, which they are making.
Okay,
they
it's
do that.
totally a side tangent. They should make Polar Express as a live action movie. That would be so cool. Iron out some of the story kinks. Oh, that would be so cool. Anyway, we can go back to the first Planet of the Apes movies, or movie. So we all agree it was a strong start, a good origin. I think the Moses like parallelism symbolism thing is most seen in this one, and probably like the end of the last one. Like it's kind of a reach in the second one and like the beginning of the third one, but the first one I feel like is pretty crisp with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll fangirl again about these movies.
Yeah.
I know, because I didn't. So, these gals know, but the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the Andy Serkis one, is a retelling of the Moses and Exodus story. So you have like an ape that is, he is brought into a human environment, thinks he's human, kind of, and then is raised up, realizes he's not, like, gets in a fight, which puts him in, like, prison, kind of, or, like, as an exile.
Yeah.
And then he meets with his people, comes back, then there's
Gets
kind of an
shot
exodus
and
out of
dies.
it.
No,
Yeah.
And there's kind of the whole exodus story in the first one, and then I really can't see it in the second one. We can talk about that. And then the third one is like halfway through the exodus story, and then finishes it with Caesar getting shot and not being able to, and leading his people into the promised land, but not being able to go into the promised land.
Yeah. I see it in the second one more about like Caesar growing into becoming a leader and like having to like make those decisions that he never wanted to make.
Yeah.
It's a little more settled for sure though.
That's more of like I feel like pretty standard like hero's journey. So which I mean like still like symbolism of that, but I feel like the first and third ones probably have like exact. Which I saw the second one first, and he gets shot, and then he dies, and then he comes back, and I didn't know it was Moses yet, so I thought maybe Caesar was supposed to be like Jesus or something, which no. But according to the first one, with the first and third one, it makes more sense. I want to take a moment and remember the music of the first one. So Patrick Doyle, he did Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, the Emoji Movie,
Yeah.
Cinderella,
Classic.
Harry Potter, and the Goblet of Fire. But I feel like I just want to make reference to that because I'll reference this later. But just keep that in the minds.
Okay.
Okay, so favorite moment of this movie, and then we can hit like least favorite moment of this movie.
Kingdom.
Rise.
Rise.
You skipped ahead like 4 movies. We're getting there.
I think the best moment in Rise is when James Franco's like, come home to Caesar, and Caesar's like, I am home.
Yeah.
I think that
Get
is
roasted.
probably the moment.
I think I like when Caesar is getting the trust of all the apes in the prison.
Oh yeah.
And he just like starts rising up, and all the starts bubbling and all that stuff.
I think my favorite moment is the gorilla. I'm a big fan of the gorillas in the movies. I think that part, I feel like there's some scenes, and I kind of see it more in like the fourth one and maybe like the second and third one, but there's like, some scenes that are just longer than they need to be, but it's really just so the visual effects artist can like flex a little bit. And I feel like the gorilla is probably that moment, but I remember that the most. But yeah, I think I like the origin story of it. Like it has like a good. It's just like it's kind of. It feels like an old school movie a little bit, like early 2000s, even though it's like 2011. But it's like feels like it's just like we have this story. We have like a random other like love triangle or like love story thing happening, but like mainly like the story stays pretty concise.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty strong like villain origin story for Koba, even though you don't know that he's going to become the villain.
Yeah.
Like I think
That's
with him, and he sees all the evil that what's the guy who plays Draco Malfoy?
Oh, Tom Felton.
Tom Felton and the abuse.
So British in this movie. Attempting not to be so British.
He sounds very British.
Yeah.
Looking, especially watching this movie again. And then it's hard because you can tell with Caesar, and like at one point, like James Franco comes back for him, and he's like, "I don't want this anymore." And like, I think that's also a strong moment.
Yeah, that is interesting because it goes from like tragic that he has to go to this like monkey sanctuary or ape sanctuary
in San Francisco.
yeah. But then like when James Franco comes back and he's like, no, like I've established, like it did take like a little bit, like I feel like that was a natural progression.
Yeah, I think so.
Least favorite moment of this movie?
Probably any of the stuff with the love, with the girlfriend is really unnecessary.
She doesn't even really like. Maybe she kind of thinks out loud in some parts. Maybe like serves as like exposition in some points, but really like unnecessary. Feels like just like give me Caesar.
I wonder if they did that because I mean I haven't seen any of the Apes movies between like the very first original one and the Tim Burton one. But there aren't. Oh, I guess there is. But I was going to say there isn't like a human female protagonist in a lot of it. But there is in the first one, right?
Yeah, they have some of the astronauts are female in like, the later ones.
That'd be tragic if they're like female representation with like the love interest is that's like her only bit. Yeah. But I guess she's a scientist, so an intelligent love interest.
This movie does also kind of fall into the cliche of like somebody's trying to do something for good. I'm going to use it too early. It kind of falls in the Spider-Man trap of like I'm creating something to save somebody else, and I'm going to use it before it's ready. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like
I guess that
is a little generic.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like most of it's pretty concise for me and like pretty crisp. It just feels like at some points it's very like I don't know, like when they come down, like when Tom Felton comes down with his friends, they're all like drinking and stuff, and it has like that. It just feels like kind of artificial, maybe a little bit, but not terrible in a way that it like ruins the whole movie. I'm just like, it's kind of weird.
It's also really interesting in the first one that I didn't really think about until rewatching it. How the virus aspect of it is really subtle. Like the plot is not about like a virus spreading. It's only because.
Oh, that's true. It's not until the end where it's like someone dies.
Someone dies, and then he breathes it in, and then that one neighbor gets on a plane. Like, it's none of like the pandemic stuff really ever happens on screen as I thought it would.
Okay.
Yeah. And then by the second one, it's like chaos.
It's like,
yeah, the jump between the first one and the second one is, I feel like, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They do a lot of like explaining kind of back what happened rather than seeing it happen, which is probably honestly like, it probably aged better that way. Like, I feel like that was probably a good choice. Okay. 1 out of 10, or between 1 and 10, what would you rate this movie?
6.5.
Okay, almost passing.
This is the meter out of like enjoyment or quality, or an overall kind of.
I'd say quality, I guess. You can change yours if it.
Yeah, it's a big quality jump between, like if you go back and you watch what. The one with Mark Wahlberg and that revamp. That movie's awful.
Did they use motion capture for that one?
Costumes.
It's costumes, but the story is not compelling. Like Mark Wahlberg is miscast. Like it's.
But you don't like Mark Wahlberg in general.
No, but you just have to go back and rewatch it. Like it's not something I want to harp on, but you could
You're like,
tell.
Mark Wahlberg, no.
You could tell that when they made this, that they wanted to make something that would continue on. So It's not my favorite, but my 6.5 stands.
Yes, okay.
I mean, I think all of these movies, apart from Kingdom, are like 7.5 or up for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you'd say apart from Kingdom, they're all
Yeah.
7.5. Okay, okay. I'll give it like a 6. Like it was good, but I'm like, eh. But I've been known to be semi-harsh on the movies that I review.
Semi.
Kind of. Well, if a movie's good, then it'll get a good
If
score.
a movie's good, she doesn't like it. If a movie's trash, she
Well, it's
invests
still the
in
score.
it and watches it twice.
I
And
rested it. Okay. I will not defend my movie reviewing. It's quality and yeah. But okay. Okay, second one.
So calling
Yeah.
a movie old that came out in 2011 kind of shows your age.
It is older. That's over 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's an entire lifetime. For a dog. You know?
For a dog. That's an entire lifetime.
Yeah. Maybe a cat.
Over
Like,
10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
over
okay.
a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we have Rise, and the next we have Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. This is where Matt Reeves comes in. You can definitely see a director shift, like a tonal change to the entire movie.
Quality jump.
By a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so this one came out in 2014, so 3 years. So they're 3 years apart. 2011, 14, and
Good way to do
17.
They deserve that much time.
Yeah. Okay, also, directed by Matt Reeves. Music by Michael Giacchino, known for If, that just came out. Thor, Love and Thunder.
That's all he's known for.
Yeah, If. Lightyear, Spider-Man No Way Home, Rogue One, Star Trek Beyond, Tomorrowland, Cars 2, Up, Inside Out, and Zootopia.
Gesundheit.
This man can write a good score, or can compose
Cars
a
2
good
really shows that.
Yeah. Honestly, the music from that, best part. A classic. I tried to do some kind of what is it called? Impersonation the other day, and it was the same one that you tried to do at one point, and I was like, I really can't do impersonations. Yours sounds like way better. Side tangent, but okay. Caesar's development as a character. Do we know how much time between the first one and the second one in story?
7, 10, 7, I think.
Yeah,
Because they say it in the movie.
because they say it, and then because it's been a long time since they had seen humans.
Okay. A long enough time for the Earth to, or the world to fall
Yeah, the
apart.
world falls apart, and then when, it's not Woody Harrelson. It's who's the main actor in?
I don't remember.
I don't remember his name. Let's see.
Oh, it's somebody really. Oh, that's bothering me.
Because Caesar has a whole, like, almost
Jason Clarke.
grown
Jason
son.
Clarke, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when Jason,
True.
yeah, he has like a whole family, and
R.I.P.
when he runs in like Jason Clarke, they were like, "Oh, we haven't seen humans in a long
Yeah.
time." So it's been a good number of years.
The intro to at the beginning of this, I feel like was very good because it had like suspense. Like I hadn't seen any of them before, but like having it was like suspense enough, but also like it felt like we were comfortable in a world of apes, you know, where it wasn't like trying to hide the fact that we were like.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good.
And it was like a massive visual effects flex to like start with that shot. Like
Oh yeah.
war paint, water dripping, fur,
Yeah.
everything. It's like the fact that that's 100% fake is nuts.
Yeah, there was no part in this, or I guess only in the first one that I was ever like, this is clearly mocap. But I feel like the second one stands pretty good with the visual effects.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also just the way when he goes back through like San Francisco and stuff. That's the one part of the time jump. It looks like it's been way longer than it probably has.
Yeah, that looks more like 20-ish years.
Yeah.
It might be. I mean, if apes age-wise look like humans do 20 years later, like his son looks like he's 20.
Okay. Yeah.
Caesar's definitely gray.
I feel like Caesar's like character development between all three of them, like you can see that he gets older, like the decisions he makes, I feel like it's just a good like reflection of just him getting older and like developing as a character. Favorite moment of this movie?
Oh, there's a lot.
or element of it.
All the parts with James Franco.
In the second one, R.I.P. James Franco. He actually is mentioned, I think one time, but it's like.
It's on the videotape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When they go back to.
Oh, I remember yelling, "Is that James Franco?" And everyone would be like, "Yes."
Yes. It's interesting how James Franco is only in the first one, but people remember these as like the James Franco trilogy.
Interesting. He doesn't really get like a definitive like close either. It's just like I kind of like that though, where it's not like we don't like have like a super long thing where it's like James Franco's like tombstone or something. Like it's kind of just like it's just assumed he died.
He died.
Unfortunate.
It's kind of, and it's like that between Dawn and War too with the humans.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
There's not a very
It
clear.
is, yeah. The trilogy really does focus on like Caesar and the apes, which I mean, Planet of the Apes. So no way.
I think.
Doesn't make sense.
But going back to your original question, I think the best part of this movie is that everybody believes that they're right, but like they like the humanity of like when they're trying to like rebuild the dam, and Caesar sees the best, and like they really do just want like their power back, but then Koba is like, these humans are rising against us, like we got to figure it out. And Gary Oldman, like everybody always kind of rags on his character, and it's like, why would you do that? But like I think Koba and Gary Oldman are like the perfect like villains for like they're perfectly aligned. And then Caesar and I don't remember the name of the humans who helps him out, who's trying to build a dam, Carrie Russell and like the whole family.
Malcolm.
Yeah, like
Malcolm, Ellie, and their child.
Yeah.
Recruit?
No,
Oh no, that's just one of the apes. I just took a wild guess.
But I think this movie perfectly shows like how nobody really wanted a conflict and how it kind of boils up, and like the whole thing you're always on the edge of your seat because of it.
That's a good point, because I feel like this one has more of a subtle story like conflict, and the third one is more of like, this is the bad guy, he doesn't want this, and then so I feel like that's a good point.
I don't know. I like all of it. I do like the final battle between Caesar and Koba.
Yeah.
And what I noticed the first time I watched it is like most fist fights in a lot of movies are very fast and whatever, but because it's apes, it's so like swingy and clunky.
Yeah.
But they use that acrobatics to like emphasize like the power of ape fighting versus like human fighting or Transformers fighting or that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I feel like they're, with the mocap especially, like they're able to really get like the ape like characteristics, and it's not like people in a suit trying to like, or like fighting, so.
It actually looks like in these movies too, when like Caesar gets hurt or like he's like gets slammed down when they're fighting, it actually looks like it hurts.
Yeah. I feel like the second one is the movie, even out of all four, that I really cared about the apes the most. And I don't know if it's maybe because it's like the first time I watched, like the first time I'm seeing the characters, but throughout the whole thing I was like, I really cared about Caesar's character and his family, and like really, versus like the other ones, I feel like I was kind of just along for the story, and like Caesar happened to be like the protagonist.
Yeah.
But the second one, I feel like did a really good job at like character depth, and even like Koba's, like what you said with the villains and stuff, it's like they all have their own like purposes, like kind of in like you could justify sort of all their purposes.
I think it's interesting. I think the other like obvious best moment from this movie is when Caesar decides to kill Koba.
Yeah.
And then even like Andy Serkis in an interview he read that and he goes, that doesn't line up with like who Caesar's character is. But then when he's in the script and then Koba brings up like apes shouldn't kill other apes, he like it's a definitive like changing moment for Caesar.
Yeah.
I think it was great because what you said about like it looked like they got hurt when like they got slammed down and stuff like that. Like when Caesar got shot, like I thought he was actually dead, and so I was like, dang. But I believed that for most of it until I Googled it and figured out he wasn't. So I couldn't wait like 10 minutes. But I thought that was good because then I was like, oh, is Koba just gonna be like the main ape from here on out?
Trilogy would plummet.
Yeah.
You go really dark.
I think Toby Cabell as Koba.
Who,
Yeah.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Whenever that came out, he was the villain in that, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it's an underrated performance for sure.
Fantastic Four.
No.
Well, I think he did motion capture for Kong in Kong Skull Island, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at his career on Wikipedia, acting credits.
I feel like that. I think it's true. I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
He was in Ben-Hur. Yeah, he did Kong Skull Island.
Okay. That makes sense because he has all of that ape mentality.
His face, it's the motion capture. When I saw that it was him, the motion capture is good. Like, it's like that is an ape and like a very distinct ape, but also it looks like the actor who's playing it. So it's like just the importance of like who's playing the character, and then you kind of see that too with like Andy Serkis's performance. It's like you really feel like what the character's feeling because of the performance.
Yeah, I found out that a lady actually plays Maurice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. Maurice is just.
Maurice is kind of a grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all the grandma likely people, it's Maurice.
Maurice on a horse is iconic. Okay, is there least favorite moment of this movie? Element of this movie?
All the parts without James Franco.
98% of the movie. 99% of the movie.
I'm trying to think. There's not like a part of this movie that I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Because even the parts with like the family and stuff doesn't feel totally unnecessary because Caesar sees them as like more human because of it. Sometimes the little like, oh yeah, Carrie Russell's a nurse and then Caesar needs medical help. It does fall into that trap a little bit.
Who's the ape who's the guy who just keeps like, he like gets kicked out and stuff? Like, he ends up just getting killed by Koba, right?
Yeah. So like there's the guy in their crew.
Who's just like, apes suck, and they try to shoot Caesar at some point.
Yeah.
Does he just exist so that we can see Koba kill someone that we don't really care about? Or does Koba kill him?
He exists because like it shows that like he doesn't buy that the apes are actually good. Like we're all like the trust. And I think he also exists too because he proves to Koba Koba thinks he's justified because he's like, see, the humans have you Brian here have guns. So I think it's more reason for Koba to think that he's right.
Okay.
But yeah, he's a little plot devicey.
Okay. I think everything else is pretty crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Too
much.
It's not too long.
Yeah.
Like it's a continual building of like the story.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah. I'm on the Wikipedia page. Its runtime is 130 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
2 hours and 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I really... Oh, go ahead. Actually, sorry.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. I really liked Koba's... Is it Kubo? Koba? Is it Koba?
Koba's the villain.
Koba. I keep wanting to say Kubo. Or Kuba.
That's like Kubo and the Two Strings.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Koba. I really liked his character arc because I feel like he acts like the crazy ape in the beginning, and I kind of thought, I was like, oh, maybe he's just like trying to kind of help Caesar in a way that it's like just trying to get intel on like what the people are doing. And then I think the most like haunting moment of the movie is when he just like kills that dude, where like it's the two dudes who are
he's
drunk.
Pretending to be dumb.
And then he just straight up shoots the guy, and you're like, oh dang. At that point, I feel like I'm like, oh, okay, like this is very clear. Koba is that guy, but I feel like it was good.
He's a good villain because he is like established, like he's still kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of an outliner sort of, but like he's helping Caesar and he believes in what Caesar's doing in the first one. And he believes in what Caesar's doing for a while in the second, but he's like, but we have to like deal with these people.
Yeah.
That's what makes villains so good is when like they believe they're right, but they also are they have some points. You're like, yeah, I could kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Gary Oldman in this movie too. I kind of felt with Woody Harrelson in the third one. They're just making this guy like as much villainy as he could be. But with Gary Oldman, then when Kubo comes and he kills those dudes, and then Gary Oldman's like, okay, we can't do this anymore. You're like, okay, he's not just being a jerk to be a jerk.
Yeah. I like that we started off with the question of like our least favorite moment in the movie, and then it turned into just why we like this movie.
Why we like this movie.
Why we like the bad guy.
Okay, so scale from 1 to 10. What do you give this movie?
A 9.
Ooh, okay.
It's probably in like the 7.8 range for me.
You couldn't name anything bad about it, and you gave it 7.8.
Wow, you say my movie review rating system's off?
There are other movies that I like better than Planet of the Apes. I like them a lot, but it's like in the 8 range.
Okay.
It went up 0.3 from the first one.
I mean, like the trilogy for me like fluctuates in the very high 7s to maybe a little bit over 8, kind of.
Okay.
And then goes down at Kingdom, but we're not there yet.
Okay. I would say a 9. I would say this movie's good. I like this movie. I think I gave it a 9, like, after we watched it.
Yeah.
Everyone lost their minds.
You didn't get, actually, when you were doing homework during the movie, but Bella did not put down your official.
Yeah, I was processing the movie. It was good, and, I was paying attention more to the movie than I was to homework, so. But that is true. Bella didn't write down my score.
No
Tragic. It'll live forever on YouTube, or in this podcast. Okay, so that was we've covered the first and second one. Okay. War for the Planet of the Apes, which this is the first one that doesn't have of right after the first.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until just now.
War for the Planet of the Apes, directed by Matt Reeves, music by Michael Giacchino, an absolute icon of our century. This is the least actiony movie for being called War of the Planet of the Apes, and is honestly, in my opinion, kind of a letdown after the second one.
Yeah, I think
Dispute me.
I thought the scale, I'm not going to dispute you, I thought the scale of the story was not as big compared to the second one. Like, I didn't think the villain was as good. I didn't think, like, this movie looks amazing, but it gets a lot subtler of a movie than I thought it was going to be. After rewatching it, I have liked this movie more as time has gone on, but the first time I watched it, like in the theater, I was like, I didn't think I liked it very much.
It's very contained, like, it doesn't really, it still deals with, like, the apes, but in they don't go beyond, like, one prison for, like, 80% of it.
Yeah. I think Matt Reeves showed a lot of constraint, and I think as time has gone on, I think this movie has shown that it's its own masterpiece in the way it is so tight. Like, I don't know, but yeah, the world building in this one's not as strong for me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, I mean, like I said, I think I like it the best out of all of them. I can't really tell you why, but I think part of the reason, one reason is because it has more humor than the other two did.
That is iconic.
I think for a trilogy about monkeys, there's a surprisingly little amount of monkeying around. Like, it's not a very goofy movie.
No.
These movies would be a 10 if there was humor. If it was considered a comedy.
If Planet of the Apes was a musical, then it would be a 10.
Oh my gosh! I thought I was saying terrible things, but calling it a comedy.
That's what
You said musical.
I'm trying to think of other movies that Matt Reeves has done that are, like, funny.
Yeah.
He's not a comedic
Musical
filmmaker.
He likes dark tone, emotional tone.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I like it. I like it because it has some humor, but I think I like it because Caesar, because he decides, like, he gets angry because his family gets killed, and it's so detrimental because he feels like he wasn't there, which he was. But anyway, he leaves everybody else to go protect them, and then finds out that him leaving is the reason that they get it. So he keeps making these decisions, and then finds out he regrets them. So then he has to use all of his energy, basically the rest of his life, to save all of his people.
If someone had just pulled the arrow out and put a Band-Aid on him or something,
Oh,
he would have survived.
I think
They left the arrow.
it's because he was at peace.
They left the arrow in him.
No, the arrow was pointing at his heart, saying, "This is."
It was pointing towards like his gut.
They didn't. He kept it a secret too. He didn't tell anybody that he.
He should have told someone. Communication. Where is it?
He didn't want to. Also, it's like when you get stabbed with a knife, you don't pull it out because you bleed out.
They get all the way to the promised land. He sits down and he's like, "Oh shoot, dead."
Yeah.
I think this one does show that like Caesar's like a flawed character, and like when he doubts himself the most is I think he doubts himself so much because he trusted Koba from the second one, and then from that doubt, like everything always feels like a wrong decision. So
Both your points are good because I feel like Caesar's character learns the most in the third one because he makes the most mistakes, but they're also mistakes that I understand, like the choices that he makes. Like he leaves to like avenge his family, but then it's like, then you leave your entire... But also, if they've been hiding forever, what leads like Woody Harrelson to their base camp? Like what's the change?
well, no, Woody Harrelson is going to like the military base.
No, but when his family dies.
Oh, it's because at the beginning of the third one, their soldiers run into them, just accidentally.
Oh, and then the other ape portrays them, right?
Yeah, and then
Elephant? Winter.
Yeah, Winter gets attacked, and it's like, we won't kill you if you tell us where your base is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I guess that makes more sense. In my head, I was like, that's unbelievable, but no, that makes sense.
I guess probably one of the bigger faults of this movie for me is maybe just because I don't collect information super well audibly.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of exposition about like the whole reasoning behind like the humans and the different portions of humans and why they're against each other and a lot of that.
That's
like,
true.
This movie, in terms of like I think the second one had a very clear. The humans were like, I just want to get this dam fixed so we can have electricity, and the apes are like, we just want to be alone.
Yeah.
And this one, it's a lot like there's a military base and there's other humans coming up north, and then they cooked Woody Harrelson. I think
Oh yeah, there was like two groups of, because in my mind it's always been like apes versus humans, but in this it was like apes versus humans versus humans.
Humans, yeah.
Every time you say damn, I'm just gonna bleep it out.
It's not a bad word.
Wow.
It's with an N.
Yeah.
DAM.
No, the one that you're saying is DAM.
Yes. That was a joke, sister.
Oh. I'll bleep out this entire conversation, but I'll still leave it in. Okay, was this a strong end to the trilogy?
Yeah.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think
You cried at the end, right?
the first time I watched it, I was tearing up pretty heavily. But that was also when I
think
realized.
It's called crying.
Yeah. I think.
Anyway, I don't have emotions.
Just aggressive tearing up.
But like the last 5 minutes was when I realized that it was this whole trilogy symbolized the Exodus. So then like all of the movies are flashing back in my mind. I'm like, wait, Moses and this Exodus and Pharaoh and all this stuff. I'm like, what? So I was like overwhelmed by that, and the fact that Caesar was dying was also sad. I think the only thing that could have improved the ending was if his baby child, I don't remember his name.
Cornelius.
Yeah.
Are you good?
His son. But
We gotta stop.
Yes.
I said baby child because he had another son. So by
Yeah.
his son, you're like, wait, is it the other one? Anyway.
The one who died in the second one? Or no, the
He
beginning
dies
of
in the
the
third
third
one,
one. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So if Cornelius had gone up to Caesar and like gotten permission from Caesar with the hand thing to like continue off into the promised land without Caesar as like a blessing kind of thing, I think that would have made it be more emotional versus Maurice being the only one that's like all the apes are walking by while Caesar's just dying.
I think Maurice is the character who's been by his side the longest, and the character who's been with him since the beginning.
Oh, he's like the first one who communicates because
Yeah.
he does the.
Yeah, he's the first one who communicates, and so I understand, but I think of all the characters to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have made me more frustrated if the fourth one had tried to carry on with his son being older. Like, I think it frustrates me less because the fourth one is just like a totally new story.
Yeah.
Like, if they were trying to be like, oh, now his son's his baby child
I
is
would have
now.
been like, this is a. I would be like, we're running out of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I had a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a satisfying ending because like Caesar realizes that he is not perfect, all like in the movie, and then when he dies, he's like okay, like he's fully when he closes his eyes, you're like okay, he's fully satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
They made it to where like their promised land. He knows that they're going to be okay. Like he did the thing that he set out to do across all 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
What comes after Exodus, or like who takes over after Moses dies?
Joshua.
If they had made it where his son, if they had like ended it like that, but then his son was like Joshua.
And there's a giant wall
Yeah.
that they have to walk around 7 days in a row.
With the trumpets.
It is also interesting in the end of that movie though that little girl
Oh yeah.
is with them and just kind of like
She's not. It was interesting though because Maurice was like, he said she was brave, but he like wouldn't acknowledge. He was like, but you're not an ape. Like I just thought that was like a weird like semantic moment for Maurice.
Yeah. Well, isn't there a brief portion in Kingdom where they refer to humans as novas?
Yes, and
Yeah,
she said, and then that's
why are we
when
calling
she
them
has a keychain or what did she find?
I think it was a car plate.
It's a
or
car
something.
plate that says Nova, and then they name her Nova.
Yeah.
Oh, so Nova just kind of becomes the word for human.
For probably good humans.
For good humans.
Because Echo is another word for humans.
Yeah.
Okay.
To kind of.
I feel like her character though sets up the best plot twist in the fourth one when the girl can talk.
Because she doesn't talk the whole time.
I think that was good.
I always think the ape that we all like.
Bad ape.
No.
Rocket.
Not Rocket.
Rocco. Rocca.
No. The
Rocket.
It was played by a woman.
Maurice.
It's interesting that Maurice adopts the little girl, and then Caesar's like, it's not worth it, buddy.
Well, because his kid just died though.
Yeah, his kid just died.
And Maurice, I feel like, has the grandma vibes, you know? Like, I feel like Maurice would be the one who'd be like, no, we have to. And Caesar's family was just killed by humans, so it's like and her dad tried to kill them, like, right before.
But I think it shows that Caesar was, like, losing a little bit of his, I'm going backwards a little bit. He's losing a little bit of his, like, kind of humanity.
Yeah.
Humanity within an ape.
Yeah, or, like, he's losing I think Caesar's always told himself that, like, the narrative that humans and apes are different, but he always wanted to see the best in humans up until the third one. But it is interesting when he comes back around and he doesn't kill Woody. Maybe that's the best part of this movie. Is not when he dies, but when he has the option to kill Woody Harrelson, and he just leaves him.
Yeah.
Well, it's also not very rewarding to kill a guy that is
about
almost dying.
Yeah.
Finally got you.
Which he wouldn't have died, right? He just would have lost the ability to speak.
Yeah, and then he kills himself.
I feel like that was just set up well because in the beginning of the movie he talked about his son, or like near the beginning, kind of he talks about his son, and then kind of have that full arc. But also, interesting that he gets it from the doll that the girl has. Like it's like such a subtle way to like pass germs, I guess. I will say Bad Ape was probably the most memorable part of this movie for me, except for maybe Caesar dying in the end and Maurice.
I think that's probably the part of this movie I don't quite understand is It is interesting. It sets up the later movies because they needed to have more monkeys or more apes. Sorry, scientific distinction.
Whoa.
They need to have more apes, but they're like, oh, other apes not a part of us are now talking.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting plot move. Just kind of explain that one away.
Yeah, they covered it up with like the most comedy.
Yeah.
Like, don't think about it too hard.
Don't think
Bad
about it
Ape is
hard.
funny.
Yeah.
Because he's played by, I don't remember the actor's name, but he's
Zachary
from Sahara.
Is it Zachary Zahn?
Let's see.
I was gonna be so mad. Steve Zahn.
Is that the Sahara guy?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He was in some random other stuff too. I've seen him in
I think that's
quite a few
him.
stuff. I guess I could just look up him. I'm like,
In
keep looking
general.
at photos.
Like detectors.
Why does Abe keep showing up when I've been bad Abe?
This is a subtle part, but I do like the winter aspect of war. When like the snow is on their fur and they're riding their horses through the winter.
Yeah, the
It's a really-
texture.
The
Yeah,
texture
is
and
good.
like
Yeah.
characters in this movie actually look cold.
Mm-hmm. Are Steve Zahn and Catherine Hahn married?
I think
Who's
so.
Catherine Hahn?
She's
She-
in like a.
Oh no, they're not.
What Catherine Hahn? This is where is that? Catherine Hahn is in
She's Doc Ock in
Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse.
and oh my gosh, she's really famous
Oh.
for.
I like how.
Oh,
I'm
You're
trying to
both
think.
confident. You're like, oh, it's that one.
Okay, who's the lady in?
it was
WandaVision.
Agatha all along.
She's
The witch?
yes.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
Agatha. She's Agatha.
Agatha. We
Oh my
edited that out, and I was
gosh.
like,
When you couldn't think of it, I couldn't
yeah.
think
Well,
of it
she's in
either.
other things, but I'm trying to think of the thing Nathaniel would know.
That's the only thing I've seen her in. I think
She's
probably.
iconic in Parks and Rec.
I have not seen Parks and Rec.
Seen one episode.
Was it a Catherine Hahn heavy
No,
movie?
I don't think so.
Catherine Hahn is in the best season of Parks and Rec. Or is-
Season 6.
No, season 4,
How many seasons are there?
6.
Okay.
That's it.
How did we? Oh, Bad Ape. How did we get here?
You're
The actor.
actor who played Bad Ape.
Okay.
We were just talking about like the best. and worst
Oh
parts.
yes, if Bad Ape was gonna die, I was gonna check out immediately. If Maurice was gonna die, and if Bad Ape was gonna die, which I didn't know Caesar was gonna die when I started the movie. Then I was looking it up for Cassie. If Maurice died, and then found out that Caesar died.
I know. I literally saw you googling, and I was like, oh my god. Then you were looking up if Andy Serkis was in the next one, and I was
He's
like,
not.
Emily, what are you doing? Like to spoil it.
Yeah,
But
Can't do. That's like.
but Maurice
Out
lives.
of all the things that are
Yeah.
illegal while watching a movie,
Is to
Yeah.
Google who
apart
died.
from
Google
like
who
other
dies.
actual crimes, is,
The
is
act of
looking up what
actually committing
happens
a
in the movie
crime.
other
while you're
than
watching
if
it.
you go to the website doesthedogdie.com, that is perfectly acceptable.
Does the dog die.com?
Yeah, there's a whole website. It's called doesthedogdie.com, and you can look up if a dog dies in a movie,
Okay.
and that is okay as long as you're not watching like a heavily dog themed
Yeah.
movie.
Planet of the Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Maurice lives, and that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
Caesar dies.
I don't think it would have been satisfying if Caesar had lived. I think Caesar. I think
then
I always
maybe.
knew.
Yeah.
I always knew that Caesar was going to die. Like, there's no way. But
Mhm.
I did not see it coming. I had
Hmm.
I feel like I had the sad emotions that I would have experienced at the end of the movie in like halfway through,
Oh, yeah.
whilst reading the article.
like, on the podcast, is
Yeah.
spoiling herself.
But yeah, I didn't see it coming. But I thought it does make sense at the end. I'm like, okay, this is a good conclusion. This is the end of a trilogy. Like, I think this is a good wrap up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think if they hadn't even ever come back to it, it would have been revered as one of the greatest trilogies of all time, just for like visual effect making, story arc.
Oh, you think if they didn't make a fourth one, it
Yeah.
would have lived on as the best trilogy
Well,
ever?
not ever, but like I think they don't like the fourth one I enjoyed, but I don't think if they stopped right there with Caesar dying,
Yeah.
like it's
that
a
would've been
very
satisfying
tight.
ending.
It would have been a very
Yeah.
satisfying ending.
Yeah, and that's like I actually, like groaned when I saw the announcement for the fourth one, I was like, no, you don't need
I was like,
third
Matt
one's so-
Reeves clearly, like, it's funny when you talk about this movie, he's like, I hope it goes well, but he was very clear, like, I'm not involved in this, and, like, I am done.
It's hard because I feel like Star Wars has a ton of movies, and I feel like I'll always watch a Star Wars movie when it comes out in theaters. But there's so many aspects of Star Wars that can be like branched out and stuff. And like Planet of the Apes is very much still like
very contained.
yeah, and it's like it's kind of essentially the same story throughout. Like this fourth one, and I don't know. So I feel like I guess we can finish our review of the third one and go to the fourth one. But I feel like the trilogy I think would have been fine without a fourth one.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if people in the 60s, like when the second one came out, they're like, they should have just left the 1968 one as a pure classic.
Well,
Well,
I'm
the
sure.
the original ends really weird.
Yeah.
It's like the best plot
Oh, the
twist.
plot twist of the original one is amazing.
Have you seen the original?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have not seen the original.
When it's the Statue of Liberty, I thought in the fourth one that they kind of allude to a little bit when they're tied up on the beach. It's almost the exact same shot.
Yeah, it was.
But we can talk about the fourth one.
Okay, good. 1 to
or
10.
the end of Spaceballs.
What's
Same thing.
Oh, the third one, 1 to 10.
yeah? Sorry, I got multiple things.
I was gonna say that Spaceballs makes the reference to the end of Planet of the Apes.
Oh yes, it does.
Okay, I've never seen that movie film.
You've never seen Spaceballs?
Mm-mm. It was. I don't think
It's okay.
It's
Yeah,
a cult classic.
Of the
kind
three
movie.
movies that I remember not being not watching when I was a child was Jaws, Titanic, and Spaceballs.
All classic.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen Titanic either.
We gotta do this. Okay, we start movie night like 2 hours earlier and
Yeah.
watch Titanic.
We'll have to be just emotionally in a good place too, you know.
Out of 10, for me, I want to say like
7.9.
8.2 ish.
Okay.
I'll give this one an 8. 7.58, somewhere in there.
I'll give it a 7. I feel like it drops in quality, or it just drops. I don't like it as much as the second one. It's not as good as the second one. Okay, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Newest
the
one.
fourth, yes, the fourth. Well, I guess the first in the new trilogy that they want to make. The fourth one that's come out in my lifetime.
The fourth within like the Caesar saga.
The Caesar. So, and I think the ones with Matt Reeves is the Caesar arc, and then is this movie 1?
I would say it's 1. Right?
Yeah, I think this
Or-
is 1. It's not 4. I don't think this is a 4th movie
Fight,
of
fight.
Caesar's.
Well, okay, this movie would not be what it was without Caesar. But I feel like
You have to change a good deal.
Yes.
Who the heck
Yeah.
is Caesar?
yeah, but I feel like if they totally ruin Caesar in these next movies or like the original trilogy, then I will consider the trilogy with Andy Serkis as like canon and the other stuff just like fun.
Well, I don't think they'll ruin it.
Yeah, but like if it was like, I'll consider the Andy Serkis ones as like canon in my
Yeah.
head. But there was a lot of reference to Caesar, so I feel like this movie would have a hard time
Yeah.
existing without Caesar, but also
Well,
not totally rely on it, I guess.
Yeah. It's like a 1.5. It needs a little bit of the past in order to work. Like I think you would still understand the basic plot of this if you've never seen a Planet of the Apes movie before.
Okay, so this movie is directed by Wes Ball, not directed by Matt Reeves. Wes Ball is known for doing like Maze Runner. That's all I've actually seen him do. But I think he actually, interestingly enough, he started off as a visual effects artist because in one of the commentaries he talks about having to like digitally put in like a bucket in the first Maze Runner movie. So I feel like for someone taking on the Apes franchise, someone who came from a visual effects background makes sense.
He's also cited to direct the Zelda movie that's coming out. Which I did not have a lot of hope in. But after watching this movie, I'm like, okay,
More hope.
I'm slightly more on board.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. It got an 80%. It is the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes critically.
Even compared to
Before.
the first one?
Mhm, the first one has an 82%.
82. Okay.
I feel like that's
First one's better.
pretty accurate.
I also think the critics have changed since 2011
Yeah.
in terms
When
of
did Rotten
like.
Tomatoes come out?
Well, Rotten Tomatoes has been around since like 1998, but I feel like we're a lot
Just the
more
way it
critical of movies. I think movie reviewers now are more critical of
Yeah,
movies.
movie reviewers liked movies back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like yes, this movie probably is better than the 2011 one, but I think people have rated it harsher or like more of a story, like cinematically. But the cinematic preference, I feel like, of the audience has changed since from the beginning of the 2000s
Yeah.
to like now.
Also, what this movie had to compete with
Yeah.
is different
True.
than like I think the expectation in 2011, everybody was like, we don't really want to watch another one of these, but we'll go, and they were like, oh, this is not trash, like this is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Versus this one, like they have an amazing, well-known trilogy that they're following up, which is different. I think the
Good
expectation
point.
of the audience is different.
Not sponsored by Bubbly.
Mm-mm.
Get it out of here. Okay. The music done by John Pisano, and he did the Spider-Man PS4 game, Maze Runner, and another Cinderella story starring Selena Gomez.
Wow.
But when I
Classic.
saw, I could tell based on the Maze Runner soundtrack of all three of them that this one was done by the same guy. So Westfall and John have worked together
Worked together in the
Okay.
past.
for a while, which I feel like was pretty good.
It's weird because like I know the music is good for these movies, but I don't think of them for the music.
The second, I think the ones with Matt Reeves, I think about the music.
Mm-hmm.
And the music in this one was good, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that soundtrack.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like.
The movies that stick out in my brain as having the best theme is Star Wars, and then Little Women, the 2019 version,
Hmm.
and then maybe Harry Potter. But like, I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of,
Not even gonna put any Hans Zimmer in there. Lord of the Rings.
But doesn't like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well that's because she has issues.
She has big issues.
wow, the team up here. But I feel like maybe potentially Lord of the Rings, but I feel like movie themes have been utilized less with recent movies that I've seen. Like it's more like it's in my face less maybe and more
Yeah.
subtle, but I like it when there's a musical theme throughout that you can recognize, which I feel like I haven't gotten with a lot of movies I've seen as of recent.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk for 2 hours about how wrong that is, but.
What movie have you seen most recently that has a great soundtrack? That has...
Furiosa last night, Interstellar, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay, but can you sing any of those themes?
Wakanda Forever.
Arrival.
Maybe Wonder Woman.
I hate the Wonder Woman theme.
Oh my gosh.
Especially the Justice League
Arrival?
movies.
Arrival's just like...
Oh, no. Oh.
Annihilation.
No, Sister Emily. We'll cut this out.
I'm prepared to eat my words when I go see a movie like tomorrow.
You know?
And it has a great theme. It'll just be a Star Wars movie, actually.
Just a Star Wars movie.
Um,
Parasite.
can you sing any of those themes?
Well, it wouldn't be recognizable to you because you wouldn't.
Well, can you...
You can sing anything.
Like,
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Also, I don't think nobody like the Star Wars theme didn't become popular until later.
Pirates of the Caribbean. That's another one.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We digress. Is this movie good by itself? I think without Caesar, without the trilogy, I think without the trilogy, people would be like, "What is this?"
I don't think so. I think
You
there's a
think people would
half
go see
yes.
It can be entertaining.
I think this movie's plot makes sense. And I think there's enough interesting characters and interesting villains. But
Mhm.
I don't think you would understand like what is
Foundation.
being like I think the villain is a clear like something has been disrupted or misused.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it before, I think you would have questions, but I think it's still a well-made
Mhm.
movie without.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably watch it again at some point, but I definitely did not like it as much as any of the other ones.
It
I
felt
think it's a good
long.
like 0.5% or 0.5
Below.
and like a 1 out of 10 below the first one for me.
Okay. I feel like the characters. So I've heard this like reference or like so like Breakfast Club. They start the movie off and then they end the movie kind of in the same spot. Like nothing really super happens, but they kind of learn about themselves and stuff like that. But it ends, starts and ends pretty much kind of the same. I feel like this movie has similar vibes where it's like Noah starts off and he's not even like he is the chief's son. Does he become the chief at the end?
No, they don't have like a clear. Like I think he's kind of he's in more of a leadership role,
Yeah,
but I
it's
don't
implied
think.
that he'll grow as a leader.
Yeah, but they don't like crown him or anything. It's like.
I feel like that makes it feel more like everything is kind of the same. Like they go back, like the humans have done something, but like this village is going to go back to the normal thing, and then it's going to get disrupted again.
Yeah, people, yeah, I guess, I mean, there's a sackload of movies that do that. I just noticed it a lot more in this one.
Yeah. That is true. I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know why I noticed it more in this one.
I think this movie is a lot more about, like, the ending is a lot more about the humans than it is the apes. Like,
That's
comparatively
just the rise
to
of
the,
humans.
it's more like the story's back. The other
Revenge
one's
of
the
the
end of the
Humans.
movies. Like, it was always about what, like, the ending of all the Andy Serkis movies is always what are the, it never
about the
ends with the
apes.
humans.
Yeah.
What is it? Humans Strike Back?
Yeah.
Or Return of the Humans?
Return of the Humans.
Revenge
Rise of the
Humans.
Planet of the Humans.
Yeah.
Humans just take back the earth.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm rooting for the apes more. Because I think they're...
Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point they've gone full circle where the apes make fun of the humans for being kind of dumb and like not knowing what's going on and like
10 years from now, people will be talking about just Planet of the Apes with humans. And they'll be like, yeah.
There aren't enough apes.
I know. Where
Well-
are the apes? Bring back the apes.
and that's kind of in the OG one, they like in the 1968 one they're like humans are like subpar, like they can't talk in that one other than the main characters are like the astronauts who left Earth.
Okay.
And so it's bringing back. This one's more of an homage to what the world was like in the
Yeah.
first one
Yeah.
than it is trying to compare it to the third one.
I really like the point about it being about humans more. Because that makes more sense. The story, I feel like, is more... I'm more okay with the story, thinking about it from like a human standpoint. I feel like the villain in this one was it the human? Was it Proximus Caesar?
You're saying who's the hero?
Who's the
Right.
villain?
Who's the
Who's like the real villain here?
Well,
If we're rooting for apes, I guess.
I think okay, I think it's interesting. I think Proximus Caesar was really, really interesting, and I think they should have used him more.
He does fall kind
In
of
the
flat. He
story.
doesn't do a ton near the end.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think he's the villain because I think if the human girl had only ever met, what's the main name in this movie
Noah.
called?
Noah.
Noah. She would have been like, okay, like maybe we can figure
He's like
it out.
a Koba.
Yeah.
Spec. Okay.
And I think she kind of is like, I don't know. She like when she gets dragged into all of his stuff, and he wants all this armory. I think it forces them to work together against something a bit their villain. I think he's more of a plot device there.
Okay. I feel like the villain was kind of underwhelming in terms of like at one point they're like, we have like so many villages here, and it's like you're on like a corner of the beach. Like I don't think I saw enough like apes. Maybe they were on the ship or something, but I was like I only see like corner of the beach with all the apes, and it's like not very many.
Yeah.
Like, your
I
powers
think,
are really fast.
their kingdom does feel a little bit bigger because, like, their apes went all the way over to Noah's tribe and sabotaged them.
Okay.
So it kind of shows the reach of, like, how far they're willing to go.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
okay.
they're still building the kingdom aspect of it in terms of like kidnapping more.
What they've used so many. I wonder what the next title is going to be if they've used kingdom. It's like
Journey.
universe,
Journey,
Oh.
maybe
galaxy. What's Planet of the Apes?
well they kind of allude to Galaxy because they're touching.
With it was like what's that movie with Jodie Foster? Contact.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like that. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, we always forget the first one. You think the people in the '60s just thought they were watching a space movie
Yeah.
because they think that
I don't think anything can replace the twist ending of the '60s.
no.
Empire Strikes, like ending.
Well,
'Cause
in
Empire
terms of like what,
Like I think it created the modern plot twist
Mm-hmm.
is drawn from it's not
that
like
movie.
that movie.
Yeah.
I guess it's true because it did come out before Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Okay. What did we think about the mocap visual effects? Did we feel like it went downhill, got better?
I think there's some this movie looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And in terms of the colors in this movie, I like how it wasn't as dark as the Matt Reeves, but because it was a brighter. I think Emily's right when they lost a little bit. Like the fur in the Andy Serkis trilogy looks more like something I can touch comparatively.
I feel like the beach, anything that happened on the beach, I was like, this looks more like. It looked great, but I was more like, I'm watching a fully animated or like.
Yeah. I think also. I think maybe just for me, I like watching visual effects and thinking of it in the era.
Yeah.
So to me, the Andy Serkis movies look so good because they looked amazing for that time.
Okay.
Now, not anybody can do Kingdom, but
Yeah. The technology's come a lot further
Yeah.
since then.
It made me just kind of want to watch the Avatar, or not the Avatar, but
Way of the Water.
Yeah, I was just like, I just kind of want to watch that movie.
I did think the facial expressions of the monkeys are a lot more expressive in this movie comparatively. Like they do a lot more, especially in the first shot of this movie when they show Caesar, his face looks a lot more detailed.
Yeah,
and
Maurice looked great.
Maurice looked great, and when they
in this movie.
Yeah, in this movie
In the beginning.
when they do the close-up shots of the monkeys, you can tell they kind of purposely don't do that with Matt Reeves.
Oh, when
He's burning, it's like a
Burning,
flashback.
yeah, the flashback at the beginning.
Oh,
The
Nothing.
actual expressions when the monkeys look sad or happy in this movie, the facial recognition is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that they didn't ignore the past movies and they were we're doing our own thing, but it was enough of their own thing.
Yeah.
it was a weird religious thing, Caesar became a religious figure for Rocca. He was a monk, a monk ape.
Well,
Monkey.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I don't really
I think, yeah.
when they had to go when it's been so long that they forget. They've forgotten why they would even have to have escaped in the first place.
Okay.
You know?
History is always destined to repeat itself.
Well, no, but it's more that the apes don't know anything different than just being able to talk. You know, they don't have to think about so I think for them Caesar's more of just a random I don't think anybody can really confirm that Caesar was even real, you know, or if he's just a myth or
He's
a
like
legend.
a prophet almost.
Yeah.
Prophet myth. I don't even know
Prophet Caesar.
what it was about this movie that I didn't like as much.
I feel like the religious aspect of Caesar made it. I don't know. I was just
Made
it
you
feels
more cautious. So
Yeah,
you're
I was
less likely to try to enjoy it.
Yeah, but I will say Rocca's devotion
Yeah.
to the way of Caesar was hilarious. But it was I was how much thought do I put into this?
It's probably my favorite part of the movie by far.
It's
course he had to
kind of
does he actually die?
but it's interesting because it's not that. I don't think they saw Caesar as a religion, but I think they more saw they were we just want to be. There was such there's been enough time where there's a clear misinterpretation of a message from a previous main character.
Yeah, they also see the era of whatever they had back then, and they know that Caesar was the foundation of that, so they want to get back to the era of Caesar and whatever the peak ape.
I think it's just classic anybody, a classic dictator move to just use somebody else who reword somebody else's message from like the past. It's kind of like I didn't see it more as a religious thing. I saw it more as like in Soviet Russia when they use like Marxism. It's like a communist thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
My brain definitely didn't go there, but
I was hoping there was going to be more story involving Noah's two friends.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like they really bonded them at the beginning. I was like, okay, you're just
They opened the movie
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Opened.
So I figured they would be the three like protagonists in the movie, and like maybe one of them would die, and it was going to be a lot more involved.
Yeah. I think in the next movie they're probably going to be like his mate. I wonder if one of them is eventually going to like betray him
Yeah.
or something, and they'll be like, "What are you doing?"
I'm betraying.
I'm betraying you.
Look it up.
I think it was very clear to me the moment Noah's dad showed up that I was like, oh, he's gonna die.
Oh yeah.
But I did enjoy that he didn't ever have like the chance to, like, prove himself to his dad. I thought, like, you know, in like the classic Disney
Oh yeah.
kind of way.
do. Yeah, he does just. But also, I feel like his dad was not like. I liked that his dad was really like just. They didn't make him a bad guy, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, the interpretation of how Noah, like, saw his father was, like, his father didn't do anything, like, aggressively bad, but it was just, like, I have high standards for you, and it's, like, you're not reaching them, kind of, or it's
Yeah.
just, like, I don't know. I feel like in some other stories, it's, like, the dad actually is just a jerk,
Yeah.
but...
No, and I think it's interesting, too, that the reason why, like, Noah gets caught and because he messes up is just because he wanted to impress his dad for like the egg ceremony
Yeah.
thing.
When the egg broke in the beginning, I didn't realize how invested I
Because-
was in that part, because I was
yeah.
like, oh, the egg.
You're just like, oh
I
my
don't know
gosh,
anything
thinking
about
about
it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is really okay. I will give this movie credit for like the beginning of the movie, even though it's slow. I like latch on to like this being important. And like I feel like I felt like I was back in the world again pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, its world building in the beginning was really good.
Interesting that they had like a herd of humans, and then the whole scene where like the humans were getting like herded by the apes was really interesting, because I was like, this is just a weird scene, and like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have anything from that, but I just thought that was a weird scene that kind of stuck out in my head. Okay, we can talk about Nova. I believe that Nova is a bad guy.
Wait.
No, but what's her actual name?
The human?
Yeah. Cree.
Kingdom of the Planet.
Carrie Russell. She does say her name.
Yeah.
Isabella?
No, it's not that long.
Isabella?
Bell?
May.
Bed?
May.
Mm-hmm.
You were closer with the one syllable.
Yeah.
I feel like she was an interesting character because we didn't really know where the humans were at this point. She has like a weird motivation. I thought she was going to be, I wish she was more of just like a good guy, like kind of just like, or just like with the apes more.
It's your classic you hate when people don't have a clear like I don't think she was a bad, but she's definitely not the villain of the movie.
She's definitely not
like I think
the hero.
She needs to she has the move to like she's definitely going to do what she's gonna do, like especially in the part where she decides to blow up like the kingdom at the end. She doesn't have to do that, but
it was like at that point Proxima Caesar was about to get access to like a ton of like firepower and stuff like
weapons
that.
and stuff.
That move made more sense.
And then she doesn't choose to shoot
the poncho.
Mm-hmm.
No pockets in that poncho, and the gun just disappears. She has both hands. It's like, where'd the gun go? Did she just drop it? Like,
I didn't realize he became CinemaSins so quickly.
The poncho was so long. She would have had to like lift up the poncho, put it in her pocket, or maybe she put it in her purse. She wasn't wearing a purse.
Maybe she put it in her pants. Like,
Yeah.
She had
in the
no
back.
pants. She was wearing a poncho.
No, she had pants on. Poncho
Maybe
was
she
a
was-
dress.
Maybe she was wearing pants, but the poncho was still long past
Yeah.
the pants. That was the part that I was like, all right, I'm out. I can't handle.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time I think both with any character in general is when they're so like committed and hard-hearted and tough, and that's their motivation is that like they're tough.
But her motivation is she has to get that SD card or that card
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Not the SD card,
Yeah.
but
No,
she's
it's
trying to
floppy
get the
disk.
card. Yeah, the
Basically what
floppy
it
disk.
is,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
They don't have an SD card, but like she has to go. She's kind of on a mission.
Yeah, I think I like more emotion in characters, or at least seeing the emotion at the beginning. Like Caesar is very, very very like not hard-hearted, but like stern in the second two. But he goes through a lot of emotion to get there in the first one. So I think I like more growth in a character before I see them in this state.
I guess that is true because she comes in with like she comes in like weak and like seems like she's cold and all that stuff, but then she really has one mission throughout the whole thing. And
I don't think she comes off cold. You just
Oh no, it was like actually cold.
Oh, like cold, like
she
like
needed
she's
like a
physically
jacket.
cold.
Yeah.
Like she had. You think that they kind of did a play where like I actually did not. I was surprised when she did talk. Like I will say
Okay.
that. I
Oh,
feel like
that
there
was
a
the
plot
best.
twist.
Yeah, that was good.
And I thought that like she was kind of just figuring out how to like play the game.
Yeah.
But
like-
so Noah and Raka were both very nice to her, or like maybe Noah wasn't super nice to her, but like they like helped her not die,
Right? Yeah.
which she still sticks with her mission, but she doesn't kill him in the end. So maybe that is some kind of like character development. But I'm still like, yeah, like you would have died in the woods. But do we believe that Rock is actually dead?
Yes.
Is that confirmed?
In Planet of the Apes theology,
Theology, he's
Yeah.
gone.
Well, I don't.
He was the funniest part of the movie, though.
Yeah, I think in terms of the comedic humor, but I don't think the movie works as well if he comes back because
They needed to be together.
They-
It needed to be like Noah and
yeah, and then you
May.
needed Noah to believe that Rocco was right, and like when he hands her like the
window thing.
the window
necklace.
window necklace, and he's like, this has to live on, and like
He doesn't know that she has a gun. In
yeah,
her show.
yeah, or maybe if they have like the guy friend of Noah, because he was kind of funny.
Mhm.
Maybe they just make him the funnier character if they go on.
Mhm. I did laugh I did laugh during this one more than I did in the other
yeah.
three.
This
so.
movie has a great comedic bit when he's like, Caesar will forgive you for that.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
scarf that Rocco wears, I thought was adorable.
Yeah, and
At
like-
one point, there's those like tiny tiny apes that have like the head shawl
Yeah,
thing.
Rocco kind of reminded me of like the dad in Harry Potter, who's like just trying to learn more about humans, like with
Oh,
Ron's
yeah.
dad, or he just kind of has a bunch of relics and he's just kind of figuring out.
He's made it his
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah,
On a scale of 1 to 10, where do we place this movie?
give this movie a solid 7. I thought the scope of it felt really big when they're traveling. I thought it like was a well established. I like how they got into like the culture, and I enjoyed that the time jump didn't tell you exactly how many years.
Just
Yeah.
generations.
Decent plot twist in terms of like the humans talking. I felt the emotion at the end. I think it definitely, whether this movie holds up or not, is definitely going to rely on other movies. But I thought it was a strong start to something new. It definitely was a step backward in terms of like the story
Yeah.
arc that Matt Reeves told. But yeah, I
Mhm.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, I think it's a much better first movie than it is a fourth movie.
Yeah.
Mhm, Yeah.
It's also really hard to make a fourth movie and just stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Based on
John
numbers, like
Wick.
4.
But I also haven't seen John Wick 4.
John Wick 4 is the best John Wick movie.
I know, so it's
He
like,
like
I was gonna
drills
say
a
it's hard to
pencil
do
through his head, right?
Kinda.
that. For me, probably also 7-ish. Definitely the lowest of the four that are in this saga, kind of.
Franchise. I was gonna say 7 too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's better than the first one. I did laugh and enjoy it probably more than the first one.
The first half was funny.
It felt like a classic summer blockbuster.
Yeah. Once Rocket died, I was like, can't be good.
The middle part after Rocket dies and they're at the kingdom, the Proxima Caesar, I think that's probably like 15 minutes too long.
If this movie was like 15 minutes shorter, I think it would have been crisp. I think I would have less beef with it.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend anybody go, like, if you enjoy these movies, I think it's a good time.
Yeah, it's definitely worth going to see. Potentially not as much on like the big screen, but it's also less.
Support movie theaters. The industry's in trouble, Nathaniel.
Yeah, only will watch Netflix. I haven't watched Netflix in eons, but yeah, it is fun. It's not what I wanted it to be, but I'm glad Andy Serkis was still involved. I think he's credited as like the. Not the lead supervisor, or lead consultant, I think is his credit in the movie.
Andy Serkis should have just been one of the humans, like, running. Like,
my human cameo.
Yeah. The thing, you would have, like, wept in the theater.
That's the emotional point.
I wonder.
Or aggressively teared up, sorry. You know, you don't cry.
Do you guys think they'll continue the tradition of always having a different human? Or do you think they'll bring Freya Allen back?
They'll probably bring her back.
Yeah.
Especially because I feel like since she was in, like, she's kind of, like, she was in The Witcher. Like, I feel like she's a known person, kind of, that they'll bring her back.
Yeah. No clear movie stars, though.
Oh, yeah. Nothing, like, super crazy. Like, Ryan Reynolds didn't come out as,
like
an ape or something.
Like an ape.
I feel like, I feel
was
like
really good.
I feel like they've got to continue with her, or, like, it's going to be, like, 6 months later, because the way the story ended, it's like there's a very clear.
Well, what if she becomes like the president-ish person that is leading the humans like 40 years later?
Yeah.
And it could be
Which
like.
I think would be cool.
See, but I think they'll have to continue the Noah storyline.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless we get the exact same thing with like a water ape tribe.
But I am interested enough to see when like the Noah arc will go. I don't think
Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark. Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us. Hopefully it wasn't too spoily. We probably will put spoilers at the beginning of the video.
For every movie.
We do spoil.
We spoil a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll likely be doing more things like this for other movies. Usually not 4 in the same video.
Yeah.
But,
we were ambitious with this one.
But, you know, it'd be fun. I don't know what the next one will be. Feel free to
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Smash those buttons.
Yeah, comment.
Do all that stuff so that you'll know when the next one comes out.
Cool.
See you around.